Alright, so I'm going to one take this video, and if you're lucky, I'll edit out some loading screens. But I'm showing you Zephyr's best weapon, and this is something I found out before the Duviri update, and I was keeping it secret for a reason originally, but then I kind of just fell out of caring of the game, and I feel like recording this video now, so I'm going to show you the video finally. One second, my sensitivity's going crazy. Okay, this is not the weapon. This is actually the jank version of the weapon. Alright, the synapse is the best weapon on Zephyr. And let me show you. Just let me show you this. This is good. Yeah. They gonna shoot me? No. Alright. No what is all this purple shit? This is new update. Oh, this isn't much. This makes it nicer to see. Yeah, you can see how busted that is. Those are some ugly numbers. That's like some Ark Survival Evolved damage numbers. But yeah, you saw I shot one ammo out of this weapon, and it killed all those Eximus. I'll show you again because it's fucking sick. Yeah, that was with some stacks finally. All right, so what's going on here? I don't know if you've heard of Zephyr's crit inherit mechanic, but basically, it's probably a better weapon to show you this with. Oh yes, the Cedo. Okay, I don't even know what this build is. If it sucks, laugh at me. So on the, not the radial attack, but I guess this is the secondary attack? Where is it? So I guess this is the secondary attack right here. It basically has no crit chance and very little, or well, it's pretty good crit damage if that's base. No, that's with a mod, so that's ass crit damage. But if I shoot this at his tornadoes, it's going to do crit because anytime you shoot Zephyr's tornadoes with a weapon, the weapon damage will use the crit stats of the primary fire. You can see it's critting every single time right there. So that shows you with the secondary fire, it takes the crit chance and crit damage of the primary fire, and it just does that instead. It just uses those crit stats during the calculation. But this also applies to gas and electric damage because both of those elements make it so that when the damage tick from the electricity or gas goes off, it does a little AoE, and when those AoEs hit the tornadoes, then it will also crit. And you can see this, I'll do this against like one or two enemies so it's not crazy. And I'm just gonna shoot this guy. He has a electric proc, and all these electric procs are hitting the enemies. You can see, same with him. When they're in the middle of the tornado, you can see that it's not always getting a crit off, and it's because the AoE is not always hitting the tornado. So this is actually kind of weaker when it comes to single target enemies like Demolus, but I have a solution for that I will show you. And so this is even more insane. Not only is my electric critting, it is having a chance to proc 100 munitions. So my electric proc is now critting with 188% crit chance and 11.7x multiplier. And it is now becoming a slash proc 30% of the time. And that's why you can see if I just shoot one little enemy, say if I shoot my tornado, it's going to hit a lot of enemies, put a lot of electricity procs on them. Oh, and then also if you're doing the float with Zephyr, it'll do the extra crit chance, so even more broken. But yeah, the tornado's hitting a lot of enemies, giving a lot of electric procs, then those electric procs are hitting the tornadoes, and then some of them are becoming slash procs that are hitting all the enemies within the area of the tornadoes. So it just compounds really fast, and a lot of enemies will get like multiple slash procs on them very quickly. So yeah, they're just insta-dying. It's insane. And I'm using electricity and not gas because electricity only sticks around when the enemy is alive, and gas will stay around after the fact. And that's not good because it breaks Zephyr's tornadoes. There's definitely a good weapon to show you this with. This does a lot of raw damage. The tornadoes only take damage from raw damage, not like crit chance and like not your crits and stuff. It's just like the actual base damage of the weapon. So that's why with the Fenmore, which is doing no crit, you're going to see this tornado stop taking damage very quickly. Yeah, so I'm going to break this tornado pretty quickly. Oh, you can see in those last few shots I was not doing damage. Like if I shoot it with my planks, not doing damage because I broke it by doing 500,000 damage to it. See, these two work, but this one's broken. Okay, so yeah, so you don't want gas damage because it's going to stick around and destroy your tornado really fast. It's going to be doing like, if you have a good weapon, you're going to be doing like 44,000 a tick. That's not to say that the electricity will never break your tornadoes, but it's way, way, way less, and at least you're trying to circumvent that. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I need to talk about. Oh yeah, so single target enemies. I'll show you how to deal with them. What are they called? Demolists. Yeah, this guy. The problem is I'm going to kill this guy too fast. Hopefully, I don't think I have any stacks on my weapon. But you're gonna... What do I have? The planks here. This is definitely not my secondary of choice. I think I have Savvy on here. I should. Galvanize Aptitude. Yeah, so you want an Epitaph if you're doing a mission where you gotta do damage to a single target. Because... well, one, I'm going to be priming them, then you can headshot them and build up really high electricity stacks, and then put down the tornadoes close to them, and it should kill them. That time, it did not do a slash proc. Obviously, a slash proc would have annihilated him. Also, I had no stacks or anything, and that's how fast he died. But also, the synapse has corrosive on it, so if they still have armor, which you can use... God, what's it called? Not these. The Vassalok to strip armor with this build, because you're just doing enough damage with this. You don't need a melee weapon for anything. This also can kill acolytes. But yeah. So, why the Synapse? It's because of its crit stats. They're absolutely insane. Maybe I'll flash something up, like the crit chance, crit damage chart or something, like of primary weapons. Obviously, you have to use a primary weapon because of Hunter Munitions. That's why this is so good. And the rest of the build, I do have a Riven on here. You don't need it. But yeah, the point of this build is just to have as much crit chance, crit damage, and status chance on this weapon as possible. And then you do need like a little bit of a like damage multiplier just to have the damage multiplier there. This is for single target enemies and then more status chance. And the reason you need status chance is because you need more than one electricity proc on really strong enemies. Like if you're doing a high level disruption mission, then you're gonna have to build up like at least like 50 electricity stacks on an enemy and then pop down those tornadoes to kill them. And it's because the electricity damage is your base damage for your Hunter Munitions like calculation, and then also it's the base damage for the calculation of the crit chance and crit multiplier. So if you do like one shot of like, gosh, who knows how much damage my electricity procs are even doing. Hello, Doth from the future here. What Doth from the past tries to say in this next segment, which I'm going to cut out, you're just going to hear what I'm trying to say right now, was that if you put one electricity proc on an enemy, say without the tornadoes and the crit, it'll do like 1,000 damage. That's just one electricity proc. If you build that up to 50 electricity procs, it'll do like 50,000 damage, and then we'll crit off of that, and then also calculate slash off of that. And to build up electricity damage quicker, you want to obviously double jump and aim glide with Zephyr, because then you'll have the increased crit, and then shoot the enemy in the head. The Synapse does more headshot damage than other weapons, just it's another thing it does. I forget what the multiplier is on it. And then also, none of, like, the enemy's armor does not affect electricity procs at all. Just the only time the enemy armor comes into play is when the damage hits the tornado, like from the electricity proc, and then comes back and hits the enemy. That damage will then be kind of like reduced by the enemy's armor. And then also, if you're dealing with Corpus and Infested, you're just going to be doing so much raw damage to enemies that don't have armor that it doesn't matter if you have Hunter Munitions or not. And then on top of this, you put on the Vassalok for like Corpus enemies that have armor, and then you can just kill them that way. So I can't say 100% for certain if this is the best rivenless build, but you're going to have to put on Stormbringer. That's what I have on instead of the Riven. And this is going to make it so, I mean, I have more crit chance, crit damage on my other build because that was what was on the Riven, but you need the electricity weighting so you're not getting corrosive procs all the time, because your status chance is actually kind of low for a weapon, but not that bad still. And then for damage, I don't think you need galvanized aptitude as much. I think you're going to want hammer shot over it because it's the same amount of status chance. And then since we're using this crit damage like very, very well, then I think you're going to want that instead. And then you can get rid of this for more damage, for galvanized scope, for more crit chance. You just got to get a headshot. The 120% is going to take you really far in this. You don't even need to get the other stacks. And then also, all of this build was without a faction mod. I was doing that much damage without a faction mod. So that's insane. You can put a faction mod on here if you're going against one faction, but the reason I don't is because I just use this build for every single mission. This Zephyr just beats every single mission. It's fucking insane. But if you're going against a single faction, just go ahead, throw it on a faction mod, I guess. And it'll do hella damage. And so the other jank weapon you can use, it's not really that jank, it's actually pretty good. If you don't have the synapse, I feel like everyone has this weapon now because, again, I made this before Deviri. Okay, this is the build. You just put electricity on here. The build looks extremely similar to the last one. The Latron Prime is basically just as good as the synapse. It just doesn't have as good of a electricity buildup. So it might suffer against high-level Demolists. Like, you can't build up electricity procs for really, really high base damage. So it might suffer there. But against grouped enemies, which is most of Warframe, it's going to do just fine. Just fine. Feels like not as good as the Synapse with no stacks, but I have stacks now, so let's see how this goes. Yeah, it's cracked. It's so good. The reason I think these are the best weapons is because every other weapon just doesn't have as good crit chance, crit damage stacks. Oh, I gotta show the incarnates for this. This is what I have. You want the more multi-shot. The minus weapon recoil, sure, I don't even know why I have that or what the other things are, but you definitely want the increased crit chance and crit damage multipliers. That's just the way to go for this last one. Stripping armor would be nice, but it's just, you need this. That's why you're using this, the crit chance, crit damage. Because yeah, other primary weapons just don't have as good of crit stats. Like the Chuker has a really, really good crit stat. Like off of RIP, yeah, like 50%, 2.3 crit multiplier. It just doesn't build up electricity stacks that fast because you just can't shoot it that fast. So again, suffers against single target, but you could use something like this for like grouped enemies. So again, just anything crit chance, crit damage works. And also, this is, what else? I guess I'll show you the rest of my Zephyr build just because this is probably like my last Warframe video. So then yeah, for the rest of my Zephyr build, this is my Zephyr build that I use a lot. Brief Respite and whatever else I have on here. With Tornado, Shield Gates, it's like super unnecessary. Does this Shield Gate on its own? 70? Yeah, okay, so this Shield Gate's on its own. Yeah, Tornado. And then this is my build. I prefer duration over range on Zephyr because you don't really need the air burst too much with this, but it's fine. Archon Stretch works on this because the electricity damage on the tornadoes actually procs it when you shoot it, like shoot enemies with it. You'll see it pop up here. So yeah, it's doing electricity damage, and I think that top left one is Archon Stretch, if it didn't say. But it keeps proccing, and you keep regenerating energy from it, so the energy generation on this build is really good. And you have this guy, he's invincible. He stays invincible within your bubble. He comes back to life if he dies. What else? Oh yeah, and if you somehow go down, he'll use Reawaken. No, he'll use Sacrifice to get you up if your bubble's still up. So sometimes you'll like recast your bubble and then go down, and then he'll bring you back to life. Then I have the Hellstrom to prime enemies with viral, and then also I have on the Vigilante mods, so I'm getting enhanced crits on my weapon. This does work, like with the, what are these called? Sentinel weapons. And then, what else do I do here? That's it. There's something. Oh, yeah. Synth fiber, synth deconstruct for more energy generation. Hellstrom's like one of the best things for that because it has explosions, so it damages enemies. So they will drop health orbs with synth deconstruct, and then you'll be able to pick them up with synth fiber even if you're at full health for energy generation. And then the rest of the build's pretty straightforward. Arcane Energize, so you just never run out of energy. Arcane Acceleration for the fire rate on your weapon, because that's the main DPS. And I think that's all self-explanatory. This is my epitaph. It's really nothing. I don't even know if you need this, if you need auger mods or not. Doesn't matter to me. You can calculate it yourself. And then the Vassalok to strip armor if you need it, but you can basically throw on Exodia Contagion if you want to kill Acolytes also. Unairu, because you can bring yourself back to life with this. Okay, so I hope this was everything explained well, and this was all off the top of my head, and I haven't played Warframe in like 2 months, so sorry if it's kind of like bad and rambly, but I'm not editing this video much because I don't feel like making a Warframe video. I don't feel like making many more Warframe videos right now, maybe in the future. And honestly, I'm gonna have to go into hiding after revealing this bug to everyone because it's so freaking busted. I'm gonna have to become like a Ark Survival Evolved YouTuber or something. But if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to see whatever else I have coming out in the near future. It's not going to be Warframe, but it's going to be intelligent, and I'm going to put thought and care into it. So I'll see you later.